I'm making this video for Brandon and Emily. We are going to go over a couple of intro and alignment things before we actually get started. So first, the things you'll want to have available. I really like these foam yoga blocks. I think this is a 4-inch block. They make them a little thicker, maybe a 6-inch. They make your arms longer, and so will give you more length to work with, especially if your hamstrings and low back are tight. I'm sitting up on one now, so they help you. You can see that my knees are lower than my hips. That's the goal when you're sitting. You want to get your knees lower than your hips. So even if you need to sit on 2 blocks to do that, that works as well. And then I have a blanket here, which you can use to roll up and put it under your spine like a bolster, or you could stick it under your head to better align your cervical spine. You might want to get yourself a yoga bolster, which is really yummy, a great way to start. So I'm going to offer a variety of ways that you could start. You could start seated like we are. Excuse me. You could start seated like we are, or like I am on a block. You could also start laying on your back. So we did this the other day. You could lay flat on your back, or you could lay with something under your spine to help open up your chest. All right, so you'd stick it by your hips and then roll back down. So ideally, you'd want your head to be on something, right? Resting on a block. So if you don't have a block, you could always take a stack of hardback books and duct tape them together. Right, so we're going to start seated today, but remember that laying on your back is always an option, right? With or without a prop. And if you do start laying on your back, when you go to get moving, just rock your knees from side to side a little bit as your first motion. All right, you're going to feel that in your hips. Okay. So a couple of options for getting started. But also, I want to talk about this one key alignment thing when we go to do some sun salutations, and it has to do with protecting your wrists. So if your hamstrings are tight, and say you're coming from a standing forward fold, right? So we folded down, and you're going to take one leg back in high lunge. You want to take the block by that leg, right? So we take that leg back in high lunge. All right, so I'm going to keep my body weight on the side of the leg that's back. I could actually even wave, right? So we did this a little bit. So my body weight's all on the other side of my body. And I'm just going to rest these fingertips on the floor until I get my leg back. So most of my body weight is still on the other side. That's going to help protect your wrists until you can get your hands flat on the ground. So you might want to avoid doing like this kind of thing, because eventually that's going to just give the joints in your hands and your fingers a really hard time. So same thing when we go to reverse. If you're going to pull that back leg in, shift your body weight to the other side. Get your hand under the block first, and that's going to give you more space to get your leg forward, right? So you can still always get the block there and then use your hand to help your leg forward. So definitely feel free to stop the video and practice that a few times once you get warmed up. So we're using the blocks, right? Okay, so let's see. So we've got a couple different ways to start. And then same thing, a few different ways you could end, right? You could end in that laying over the blanket or bolster. You could end laying flat on your back in Shavasana. You could end in doing legs up the wall, right? So I think that's it. So much for the intros. We will go ahead and get started now. So we'll begin. Again, you can do this lying on your back or seated. So the first thing you want to do every time you practice is just start to pay attention to your breath. So close your eyes if you're comfortable. Feel the spine get really, really long, so breathing down through your hips, lifting up from that bone right behind your ears. So the chin stays level. And simply feel the breath filling the belly, filling the rib cage, up to the collarbones on the inhale, and then reversing, softening the collarbones, softening the ribs, pulling the belly gently toward the spine. You're going to remain quietly paying attention to your breath. So keeping your eyes closed, letting any thoughts just float by. But I'm going to offer you this suggestion from Richard Rohr, one of my favorite contemporary theologians. It says, pray in silence till the prayer silences us. Practice gratitude until we are grateful. Praising God until we ourselves are in active praise. And as your mind starts to quiet, choosing an intention, maybe something from your day that you have to look forward to or is already behind you. It might be something from that wise advice from Richard Rohr. It might be a prayer for others. So set that intention and then stick with it. And when you find your mind wandering during the practice, come right back to your breath and that intention. And then gently float your eyes open and we'll just go ahead and get moving. So easy spinal twist to start. Get really, really tall. And on your exhale, take one hand to the opposite knee. Rest your fingertips behind you. Twist a little deeper. So inhale, get tall. Exhaling, twist. Inhale, get tall. Exhaling, twist. And inhale, come on back to center. Right away, we'll go to the other side. So inhale, get tall again. And then exhale. Take your finger to the opposite knee or thigh. Gently taking your nose around to the back side. So remember that in general, on our inhales, we make the spine longer. On the exhales, we soften. And exhaling, gently release. Okay, so we're going to come onto all fours, do a little bit cat-cow. So making sure you spread the fingers wide, Spider-Man hands. Middle fingers pointing towards the front of the mat, and on your inhale, you're going to take your tailbone and the crown of the head upward, lengthening the front body. Keep the back side of the body long, and then starting from the tailbone, drop the tailbone. Ripple that curve through the mid-back and let the head hang. There's your exhale. So you might even want to get some ujjayi or ocean breathing going. Inhaling through your nose. And softly exhaling like you're fogging a mirror, but with your mouth closed. Do that 3 more times on your own breath. Moving your head gently if it feels good, or shifting your hips from side to side. One more time. Good, and then maybe separate your knees a little bit more and bring your big toes together. And just rock your hips back towards your heels and see how that feels on your knees today. So inhaling up, exhaling, rocking back. Inhaling up, exhaling, rocking back. One more time. Inhaling, hips up, and then exhale. Rock your hips back, getting ready to settle in. So you're going to walk your hands even further forward. Do you notice I'm keeping my elbows straight? You can. You get a nice stretch in the chest that way. And let your head drop. If your head doesn't drop, all the way to the floor, you could grab your blanket or a block and let your forehead rest. So the goal in this pose is to be completely supported and relaxed. Good. And inhaling, take that block up to the front of your mat. You're going to bring one leg forward. All right, I'm going to have my hand under the other shoulder, using the block. Just dropping your hips way down and forward. So key alignment here is knee right over the ankle. Just keep that hip dropping down. All right, and then maybe drop your tailbone and bring your hands to your thigh. Starts to feel like a little bit of a back bend. All right. So make sure you're nice and stable. The way to do that is to take your front foot out to the edge of your mat a little bit, and then maybe interlace your hands behind you and reach your knuckles towards your heel. Soften the shoulders. And on an exhale, gently release. We'll go right to the other side. So use that block for some length. And sweep the other foot forward, knee right over the ankle. Nice wide base. On an inhale, bring your hands to your thigh. Keep dropping low and forward. And maybe take your knuckles to your heel. And you could interlace your fingers the opposite way, right? So the awkward way, it feels like you have an extra thumb. Little things like that just help us notice, right? And exhaling, gently release. Come back to all fours. Maybe rock your hips from side to side a little bit. Right, so we're going to curl our toes under. Great foot stretch here. So pushing into the balls of the foot for a breath. Then on your inhale, you're going to puff your chest out, and exhale, lift your hips to the sky. So you do not need to straighten your legs. What you want to do is make sure you get rid of the angle in your shoulders. So you're one long line from your wrists to your hips. And as your hamstrings get longer, you can work on straightening your legs and dropping your heels toward the mat. So take a few breaths here. Let your head hang between your upper arms. Push your ribs towards your chest, getting the body weight off the hands. Pushing into the thumb side of the hands to protect you. You're going to inhale, look at your thumbs. On an exhale, grab hold of that block. It's going to give you more weight, more length, right? And you're going to tiptoe your feet toward your hands. And let yourself hang in a forward fold. Couple of breaths. Knees can be soft. Just standing nice and easily, so soften your knees. Rest your hands on your thighs. Reach the crown of the head out long. Draw your elbows in towards your ribs like grasshopper arms. Drop the tailbone as you inhale. Arms to the sky. And exhale, hands to your heart. So you're going to be at the front of your mat. And we're going to just go through some sun salutations, incorporating in some warriors and triangle and some nice low back hamstring stretches along the way. All right, so releasing your hands, exhale, palms facing forward, inhale your arms to the sky. Let your palms meet. Bring your hands through your heart center, maybe recalling that intention that you set, exhaling, folding forward with soft knees. So the deep forward fold is the bottom of your exhale. Inhale, fingertips under the shins, under the knees, crown of the head out long. Exhaling, bend the knees again, preparing to take one leg back in high lunge. So block by that foot, take the foot back. Just get nice and long here from heel out through the crown of the head. You're going to put your body weight on that block. Shift over so that you can get your leg back. Plant that one hand, plant the other hand, inhale, get long, and exhale, chaturanga. Forehead to the mat. All right, we're going to do 3 little gentle back bends. Squeeze the elbows in, grasshopper arms. Drop the elbows, gently push the feet into the mat. Inhale, just look forward. And exhale. Nice. Inhale. And exhale. No crunching in the low back. Get long on your inhale. And exhale. So we're going to reverse that push-up. Squeeze the elbows in, curl the toes under, maybe come up onto your knees or your toes, right? Knees and thighs up first, and then exhale to down dog. So again, the knees can be soft. You want to just get that crease out of your shoulders. A couple of breaths here. So we're going to lift the opposite leg to the sky. So if you took your right leg back first, take your left leg to the sky. And as you exhale, bring your knee to your nose. So let's do 3 of these. Inhale, leg to the sky. Exhale, knee to nose. Keep your arms long and strong. Inhale, leg to the sky. Exhale, knee to nose. All right? Now we're going to shift our weight into the opposite side. You can rest your toe on the mat, right? Grab hold of your block. It's going to give you some length. You could even come up higher. Get that foot forward. Use your hand to help if you need. And then we're going to go to warrior 2. So turn your heel down and inward, back heel to arch alignment, right? And you're going to sweep yourself around to warrior 2. Inhale, straighten the leg. Exhale, deeply bend, right? Inhale, straighten. Exhale, bend. So starting to open up that hip joint. Knee right over the middle toes, pushing into the outer edge of your back foot. Take a breath. So on your next inhale, you're going to windmill yourself back to a high lunge. Maybe bring that block, lift your back heel, bring that block to the other side. Make sure you're nice and stable. We're going to try a nice, easy high lunge here. So just same thing as we did on our knee. Inhale, hands to the thigh. And this time maybe take your arms to the sky. So you're lifting the back thigh. Spine long. Good. Exhaling, gently release. Use that block to help you scoot that back foot forward. We land in a forward fold. Deep exhale here. Reverse your dive, inhaling arms to the sky. And exhaling hands to the heart. So in order to not have our backs to one another, switch to the other end of the mat. Exhale everything down. Root down in that mountain pose, inhaling arms to the sky. Root your feet, exhaling, deep forward fold. Up, grab my block before I go any further. Inhaling, reach the crown of the head out long. You're doing it. Exhaling, fold. Just move with the breath. Inhaling, take that one leg back. All right. Feel your body nice and long from heel out through the crown of the head. Shift your weight into that block so you can get that back leg back, and then plant that other hand firmly. And we come to the top of our push-up. Inhale, get long. Exhaling, chaturanga. 2 little back bends here. Inhaling, gentle cobra. Exhaling, forehead to the mat. Inhale. And exhale. Squeeze those elbows in. Work on reversing your push-up. And exhale to downward dog. Again, knees can be soft. Just push your ribs towards your chest. Get rid of that angle in the shoulders. Good. Opposite leg to the sky. Exhaling, knee to nose. 2 more times. Leg to the sky. Knee to nose. leg to the sky, knee to nose. All right, so we're going to grab hold of that block, shift your body weight, use your knee for balance if you need, your toe for balance, right? And then scoot that leg forward, use your hand if you need. Nice high lunge. Turn the heel down and inward, heel to arch alignment. And we're in Warrior Two. Push it to the outer edge of that foot. Take the knee to the back side of the body, right over the middle toes. Inhaling, straighten. Exhaling, deepen. Inhaling, straighten. Exhaling, deepen. One more time. Inhaling, straighten. Exhaling, deepen. Then you're going to lift your back heel, windmill yourself back around to the block. All right. So nice stable base. You might want to scoot that front foot out to the side of the mat, hands to the thigh. Dropping that tailbone. Lift that back thigh and get long. You're doing it. Good job. Exhaling, gently release. Find that block. Scoot the back leg forward. Let your body hang. Inhaling, arms to the sky. And exhaling, hands to the heart. Nice. So today we're going to do a standing pigeon, one-legged balance. All right. So find that mountain pose, Tadasana, and then gently shift your weight from side to side. Kind of checking in. All right. Come back to center. And inhaling, shift your weight to one side, lift the knee. Keep the foot flexed. That'll help protect the knee. You cross the knee over the thigh and start to sit down in imaginary chair. So the weight on your standing leg is in your heel. You could actually wiggle your toes. Maybe rest your hands on your knee and your ankle. Find some place 3 or 4 feet in front of you to rest your gaze so the back of the neck is still long. See if you can sit down a little bit more and then fold yourself forward. Pull your low belly in. Use that to balance. Protect your spine. Nice. Then we'll come out of it the same way we went into it. Calmly and with control and concentration. Lift that knee. And exhaling, gently release. Inhaling. Lift the other knee. And exhaling, start to sit down in that imaginary chair. Weight in the heel of the standing leg. Right. Make your spine long. And then on an exhale, gently folding forward. So no worries if you fall out of it. Every day is different. Take your time. Get back in. And then slowly and with control, lift that knee. Exhaling. Right back to Tadasana. Okay, so another sun salutation. We're going to do a hamstring stretch and a triangle pose here. All right, so back to the end of your mat. Exhaling, release. Inhaling, arms to the sky. So the whole goal of this is for you to be able to start to incorporate these movements into your daily life. Exhaling, just moving with the breath. Inhale, get long. Exhale, bend the knees. Take one leg back and high lunge. Then we're going to use that block. Take it with you. Inhale, get long, maybe even flexing those front toes back towards your knee. Right? Just move with your breath. Exhaling deeply. Inhaling and exhaling deeply. Inhale through the transition. Exhale on the stretch. Inhale through the transition. Exhaling on the stretch. Good. And then we'll go to triangle pose. So again, turning that heel down and inward, the back heel. And sweeping your shoulders right over your hips. You're going to straighten that front leg this time. So I like to get into this by softening the knees. It's going to give your hip joints more space. So gently soften both knees. And then take your torso diagonally over the leg whose toes are pointing toward the short end of your mat. So it's less of a side bend than it is a tilting from the hips. You're going to rest your hand on your thigh, or maybe your shin, or maybe a block, or maybe you get to the floor eventually. You want to rotate your thigh bones like outward. So you're turning this hip. You'll feel that nice stretch in the glute medius. Right? Drop the ribs if you can and take your fingertips right to the sky. So one long line from fingertips to fingertips. That would be the goal. So use your props. Maybe open your chest and gaze at your fingers. Nice. And exhaling, gently release. Hand back to the block. Lift that back heel, and we'll finish our sun salutation, right? So top of the push-up plank, just move with your breath. Exhaling, chaturanga. If you want to do an up dog, you'd stay on the tops of your toes. Inhaling on your hands and your feet. And then we'll go straight to down dog, exhaling. Soften the knees, lift the hips, get the angle out of your shoulder joint. Good. So let's practice getting that opposite leg forward again. Inhaling, lift the leg to the sky. As you exhale, pull your knee toward your nose. Shift your body weight to that side, right? And use that block to make more space. Right. Inhaling, come to forward fold. Exhaling, let go. Inhaling, arms to the sky. And exhaling, hands to your heart. Go to the other side. Release. Ground. Come back to that intention that you set. And then inhale, arms to the sky. Exhaling, folding forward. Just move with your breath. Inhaling, spine long. Exhaling, bend the knees. Take the other leg back in high lunge. Right, so we're going to move with our breath. Inhaling, lift. Exhaling, soften. Inhaling, transition. Exhaling, release. 2 more times. Just work on keeping your spine long, even if that means you have to come up higher, right? Good. So we'll turn that heel down and inward again. Heel to arch alignment. Getting ready for triangle. So straighten that front leg this time. Soften both knees. Tilt the hips. Right. Take the top ribs toward the floor. Hands on the thigh. Maybe the shin. So each side is going to be different, right? And then take the opposite arms to the opposite fingers to the ceiling. So sometimes it's good to practice these poses in front of a mirror. Just kind of see where your alignment is. You're rotating the hips under. Get a nice long stretch in that glute medius. Nice. And then bring yourself back to high lunge. Get your balance. Right. If we came to high lunge on this side, couple breaths. And then exhaling, we'll finish our flow. Plank, chaturanga. Maybe drop the knees. Maybe inhale to up dog. Exhaling right to down dog. This is like home base, right? But remember, you could always drop into a child's pose as well. So inhaling, lift that other leg. Exhaling, shift your body weight. Use the toe for balance. Use that block. Make more space. On your inhale, bring the back foot to meet the front. Exhale, let go. One more time. Inhaling, arms to the sky. And exhaling, hands to the heart. So check in with your body. Maybe there's another standing pose you'd like to do before we bring ourselves back down to the mat. So you would inhale your arms to the sky. Exhaling, slowly fold forward. Hang one more time. Maybe work on those IT bands, right? By bending one knee deeply and taking your body weight to the other foot, lifting that hip. Exhaling, come through center, straighten the other leg, bend the other knee deeply. Rotate your ribs toward the straight leg. And exhaling, gently release. So from here, we're going to come to seated. Just take one leg behind you. All right? You're going to tuck your knees together and work on sitting down. So a body weight on the heel of the front leg. Right? So this takes some flexibility in the hips. You might not get there. So do whatever you have to do to get yourself to the floor. And we'll take another easy twist toward that front leg. So if this is really hard for you and you're having a hard time getting that hip down, you could always, again, sit up on a block till you get there, right? So you're going to inhale, get really, really tall. Sweep that opposite arm behind you and just hug that front knee. Get long. Just following your breath, exhaling, gently release. Good. So right from here, we're going to take Janu Shirsasana. So you might want to have a strap or an old necktie, right? Old neckties make great yoga straps. You're going to stretch that leg that was on top out in front of you. Again, if this is really hard to get your pelvis straight, then you could sit up on a block. All right, so we've got one leg on our inner thigh. We're going to wrap that strap around the other leg. Inhale, make your spine really, really long. So there's really no reason to bend rounding. You can just reach your chest toward your foot. Right. Back of the neck long. Allowing your body to soften. And gently release. So identify which knee you had on top last time, right? We're going to cross over the other way. So bottom knee points straight forward. Top leg crosses over. If you have, if your knees bother you or your hips are really, really tight, you could not cross your foot over. You just leave it to the side. But try and get long. Rotate around. And give yourself a hug as you make more space. Right? Shoulders drop down. Exerting only where you need to, and trying to let go everywhere else. Nice. And then uncrossing, foot in the thigh, for Janu Shirsasana. Right, so inhale and get tall, and as you exhale, start to stretch your chest toward your foot, right? Let the back of the neck stay long. And inhaling, gently release. So come on back to center. Decide how it is that you want to finish your practice, laying down or legs up the wall. So remembering that Shavasana is the most important pose of all. So I'm going to suggest laying down. So you're going to plant your feet, right? Slowly and gently. Use your hands if you need. Using your core, rolling yourself down to the mat, right? Let's just do one bridge pose before we finish. So you bring your feet in, maybe you can even touch your heels with your fingertips. Feet are still parallel. Feet, knees, hips, shoulders, everything on the railroad tracks, right? You're going to push your upper arms into your mat and inhaling, lift your hips, maybe scoot your shoulder blades together, right? You might feel a stretch in the front of the quads, so be sure that you stretch your quads. And on an exhale, gently release. So again, most important pose of all, you're going to stretch your legs out. If your low back bothers you, you could take that blanket, tuck it under your knees. Sometimes it just feels good. Or you could take the blanket and tuck it under your head, right? Tuck your shoulder blades together. Again, turn your palms facing up. Let your toes flop outward. Close your eyes if you can. Grab an eye mask if you have one. And commit to this stillness. Never give up on your stillness. Set your phone timer if you need for 5 minutes, 3 minutes, 5 minutes, 8 minutes, 10 minutes. Whatever time you have. So to get moving again, slowly start from the opposite way that we began. So we start from the extremities, fingers, toes, maybe wrists, ankles. Maybe a big long morning stretch would feel good. And then bend your knees, draw them into your chest. Give yourself a little rocking side to side. And then take a couple of breaths just to roll to one side, cradle your head in your arm. And just a reminder, from Richard Rohr. To pray in silence till the prayer silences us. To practice gratitude until we are grateful. Praising God until we ourselves are in active praise. So with a breath of gratitude for this body that took you through the practice today, straighten out that top leg. Use your top arm to push yourself up to one hip and come back to seated. So on inhale, bringing your arms up over your head, let your palms meet. Exhaling, bring your hands to your heart center. Feeling your hips rooted again. And the crown of the head lifting. Inhale deeply. Close your eyes, exhaling, bow your head to your own heart. Give yourself a mental pat on the back for showing up. The spirit in me honors the spirit in you. You did it. Well done. Namaste. So I'd like to give you guys a bonus practice, or if you are seated at your desk, that you can just do these 3 standing poses right at the wall, and all you need is a wall. You don't even really need to take your shoes off, right? So first thing I want you to do is take that Tadasana mountain pose, bring your hands to your heart center, close your eyes, and just stand for 5 breaths, feeling yourself rooted through your feet, tall through the crown of your head. Quieting the mind by following the breath. Okay, and then you're going to turn yourself to one side. So you just use the wall. You can just lean into the wall, right? Maybe take that arm close to the wall up, and you're going to lift your knee, reach for down your shin. And we're just going to do a little standing dancer pose here, right? So you got to be sure that you keep your quads stretched. So just push your foot into your hand. Keep pushing your foot into your hand. A few breaths here. So as you get more open in your front body, if you can keep the back bend shape. So what we don't want to do is fold forward and like this. That's no good for the low back. So keeping that arch shape, maybe start to take your toe to the ceiling and your arm against the wall forward. Eventually you could do this standing, right, without the support of the wall. Center your mat. Something to reach for, right? So come on back, we'll do the other side. All right. So you want to be careful of your low back if you haven't warmed up, right? Maybe do a little standing cat-cow first. You'll know. All right. So taking that arm to the sky, start to push your foot into the hand. All right. If you can keep that back bend shape, maybe coming forward. Good. Inhaling, come on back up. So that's it, dancer pose, the first one. So if your low back's feeling a little funny, just do a little standing cat-cow. Or do this before you do dancer pose. Good. Okay, so the next are 2 triangle poses, right? So regular triangle, I think, Brandon, you do this as a posture exercise, right? So you're going to start with all 10 toes pointing forward and then turn 1 foot out, right? And then you're just going to tilt your upper body, leaning into the wall, shoulders against the wall. Several breaths here, no weight in the knee, right? On the shin or the thigh. You could look down, that's easy on your neck. You could rotate up, a little more challenging. And inhaling, come on back up. Good. So let's turn all 10 toes forward again. Turn the other toes out. All right? And do the same thing on the other side. All right, so just tilting the spine, keeping yourself plastered against the wall, hand on the thigh or the shin, fingertips to the sky. Nice. Inhaling, come on back up. So now you're going to leave those toes where they are. And you're going to rotate yourself around. So you're going to bring these opposite toes forward as you bring your hand around, and then take your other arm behind you. And you're going to start to take yourself forward. You're going to feel this probably in the hip of the forward leg now, right? So the goal is to keep this forward hip pulling back, right? Maybe you bring your hand to your shin. You're going to feel it in your IT band, right? Probably feel it in your back calf. Maybe you go a little deeper. Keep pulling that hip of the front leg back, hip of the back leg forward, and inhaling, come on back up. Woo. Revolve triangle. Turn the other toes out. Bring the back toes around to meet them a little bit, right? And then take that other arm up around you on the wall. Peel the other arm back. Pull that front hip back. Then you come away from the wall a little bit with that front foot. Right. So maybe you go a little deeper. Keep the spine long. And then inhaling. Rotate yourself back around. Heel toe your way into standing. All right, maybe put the big toes together. Heels a little bit apart. Drop your tailbone. Take a couple breaths. Stretched, rejuvenated, refreshed, and ready to move on with your day. Namaste.